I decided to be productive today because today is actually a market day for me, but I'm unable to go to market. But for a good reason. My son does cross country and he had a meet yesterday, but it got canceled and they rescheduled it for today, which happens to be my market day. So bittersweet there, a little bit bittersweet. But I wouldn't trade going to his cross country and supporting him for the world. But it's kind of tough when your customers are expecting you to be there and you would like to make a little extra money, and it's just choices. It's choices, but a good choice nonetheless, but it is a choice. So I wanted to be productive today, get in here and make some soap since I'm not at the market, because it's cranking up to be fall season. And as you guys know, because most of y'all that watch my videos are soap makers or bath and body makers as well. So, if you can't be at market at this time of year, you may as well be making stuff, because this is our busy season come September, October, November, and December. Actually, so probably more like October, November, December is probably the busiest time for most of us. So I made some liquid soap the other day. And it's nice and clear. You can see it's clear. I don't make liquid soap that often, but I do like it. And I'm not an expert at making liquid soap by any means, but I wanted to give you guys like a little bit of information about liquid soap in case you guys were interested, because I know not everybody makes liquid soap. So I'll show you the paste. And this paste smells freaking amazing. It's actually unscented though, but this is the consistency of what it looks like. It's I don't want to touch it, but it's like a honey consistency or gooey taffy. It's actually, there's the consistency. So it's like taffy, because it would, like, if I were to pick it up, it would like be stringy. But it smells so good. The unscented, God, y'all, it smells so good. I wish I could like package this stuff and give it to you to smell, because it, even though it's unscented, it is, God, it is like heavenly. It's so good. If I could make all of my products unscented, I would, because that's my preference. But I would probably lose 99% of my customers, because everybody likes stuff to smell good. But anyway, I know there are some companies that do really well doing all unscented stuff, but I feel like my customers would like kill me if I quit scenting my products. But I have gotten to where I usually make most of my lotions and leave-on body products unscented. And then, even though I know I don't sell as much because of that, because people want to put on lotion and they want it to smell good, but it's just, fragrances and essential oils can be very sensitizing to people with skin sensitivities. So wash-off products can be a problem, but they're normally not. Like usually wash-off products, you can get away with fragrances and essential oils not irritating people. But when you leave on stuff, it's being absorbed into the skin. So anybody that has a sensitivity or could develop a sensitivity actually to fragrances or essential oils, it just puts them at risk. It's not a major problem or a major concern, but it's just my personal opinion and my personal outlook on it is I prefer leave-on stuff to be unscented. But like I said, that's not what the consumers want, and that's not what the market wants. Like, you have to be in business, you have to obviously do what the market calls for, and the market calls for things to be scented. So anyway, as far as making liquid soap, the first thing that you need is potassium hydroxide. And it's going to come like this, or however you buy it, but this is how it comes. And I'll open it and show you guys. So it's like, this one is a flake version. I don't know if they offer like the beads or any other version, because I've only ever bought the flake kind. But potassium hydroxide is also called lye, but you're only going to get liquid soap using potassium hydroxide. So with potassium hydroxide, use it to make liquid soap. You want your super fat to be 0%. From all the research that I've done. Like I said, I almost hate doing this video because I'm not an expert on liquid soap. If one of you are, maybe you could make a video and tell the exact like information on liquid soap. I just want to give y'all what I know. But always double check or do your own research. But anyway, from my understanding, you want to do like a 0% super fat with liquid soap. Whereas I know on bar soap, I do mine anywhere from 8% super fat all the way to 20%. And you can get away with that with bar soap. You know, obviously the higher the super fat is, even in bar soap, the higher chance for rancidity, because you have the oils sitting in there that are not saponified. But you know, the alkalinity of the soap helps preserve everything in there, but your oil still can go rancid. But if you do a high super fat in liquid soap, then it's likely to go rancid in there or make it cloudy. So you really want all of your oils and butters that you use in liquid soap to be saponified. You don't want unsaponified oils in your liquid soap, from my understanding. I could be wrong. Like I said, and it's okay for your mixture to be cloudy as far as I know. But typically when it's nice and clear like this, and it probably doesn't look clear because there's probably like fingerprints on this, but you can see that it's nice and clear. I can't, yeah, I can see the camera. I can see through it. So anyway, and when you make your mixture, so the way you start out is, and I make it the glycerin method, which is using glycerin with your potassium hydroxide instead of water. And I prefer that. It kind of speeds the process along a little bit, makes it a little more costly to produce because you're using glycerin, which is more expensive than water. But glycerin is a humectant, and to me it makes the liquid soap really soft. I mean you're after you've washed your hands with it, they still feel like they're clean, you know, and they're not dry when you do that, but they're not like moisturized or anything. But it feels so soft using a liquid soap that's been made with glycerin, to me, or at least my recipe. It feels really, really soft. So anyway, the way you do it, you mix your glycerin and your potassium hydroxide, if I can get my words together. You're going to mix that, and you have to heat it because potassium hydroxide will heat on its own if you mix it with water, just like sodium hydroxide. But when you're using glycerin, you actually have to put it on a pot and heat it up, and it'll melt, and it usually takes like 30 minutes. So it's a process. It takes like 30 minutes to get it all dissolved, is the word I'm looking for. To get your potassium hydroxide dissolved in the glycerin can take like 30 minutes. So prepare for that. And then once you have your recipe, and I think Summer Bee is the site that I use, you can use that to calculate out your recipe, because they have that one. To me is like the easiest one to use. And you want to put in your liquid that you're using potassium hydroxide and a 0 super fat, and then just do it like the way you would on soap calc or any of those others, and just play around with your numbers however you want it to look. But anyway, once you've got your solution dissolved, your potassium hydroxide and glycerin or water, whatever you choose, then you're going to add that to your oils just like you're making hot processed soap. So you're going to put it in your crock pot and heat it up. Use your stick blender just like you normally would. And what's really cool though is it doesn't really go through the stages like hot process bar soap does. So what you're going to have is, and I can film a video doing it if you guys want me to, because I'll probably be making more. I've got this, and I've got this that I can dilute down, because this is my diluted, this is my paste, and I plan on making more. Let me just smell this one more time because it smells so good. God, that smells so dang good. But so what you'll do is, once you're stick blending, you know, when you're making hot process soap, you go through these phases. Something just fell. It goes through these stages. It's going to be, you know, like a mashed potato consistency, and then it gets like a shiny consistency when it's close to being done, and then it changes, and you can tell that it's done after that point. And it's like fluffy. You know, I don't know how else to describe it, but if you've made hot process soap, you know what I mean. It's like a fluffy consistency, and then you start stirring it, and you know that it's done. And that looks totally different than when you're doing liquid soap, because you're gonna be making your mixture and be like, this isn't going through the stages or phases like hot process bar soap does, but that's okay. It's not supposed to. So when you use your stick blender, you're going to mix it, and it'll kind of look the same. It looks like custard or whatever, like a thick cream. I don't know how to describe it. Pudding. It kind of looks like that, kind of like a pudding. And then you're going to keep stick blending. And after probably 5 minutes, maybe 5 or 10 minutes, you're going to have little bitty bubbles, like little tiny bubbles, like if you're washing the dishes and little bubbles go kind of start going like that, then you're going to see those. You'll see little bitty bubbles going. And when you get to that point and little tiny bubbles are flying everywhere, then stop. Go ahead and turn your stick blender off and have your crock pot on low and put the lid on and leave it alone for like 2 hours. And then after that 2 hour point, you're going to be like, this probably isn't done, but just try it and it's probably done. So after 2 hours, turn your crock pot off. And then when your crock pot has been turned off, let it sit for 24 hours or 12 hours. I mean, 12 hours would probably be sufficient, but 24 hours to me is ideal. So if you let it sit for about 24 hours, so just come back the next day, it'll look like glass on top. Like it's like a smooth, clear gel, taffy consistency, but it should be just smooth on top. And you can go on my Facebook page actually, and I posted a video, just like a short video of what the soap looks like, just because I was like kind of promoting my liquid soap. Or and it's a girl and a goat on Facebook, or I'll try and actually merge it into this video so that you guys can kind of see what it looks like. And once you get to that stage, so at the 24-hour point, and you haven't had to mess with it, so don't feel like this is like, it's a long process, but not a lot of hands-on. So you just had that 2 hours of watching it. I'm gonna let it sit for the 24 hours, and the crock pot's been off, but you're just letting that heat continue to cook it. It's already in the crock pot. You're not actually having the heat on. So once you get your paste, so you'll scoop that out and just test it first to make sure that it's done. So you can take out a little bit, like an ounce, and then do about an ounce of hot distilled water, like boiling water. Mix the two together, and you don't have to like stir them, but just let them sit and let the paste completely dissolve. And when your paste completely dissolves and your solution comes out clear, and every recipe will be a little different. Not all of them will be 100% clear, but from my understanding, you want to be able to like see the paper behind it, or if you're standing under it, like under it or whatever. And that should be clear enough. I mean, it doesn't have to be crystal clear. Like mine's not crystal clear, but as you can tell when I hold it up without me being behind it, it's really nice and clear. And this, the way I diluted this one, currently is a 1-to-1. So there was 20 ounces of paste and 20 ounces of boiling distilled water added to that, which gives you a nice liquid. But to put it into a foamer bottle, then you can do like a 3-to-1, 3-part water, 1-part paste, which will make it super liquidy, which is ideal for a foamer pump bottle. But if you go, let me go back a little bit. So if you go back and you take that paste and you mix it and it's not clear, let's just say it's like super cloudy, then what you can do is you can actually cook your paste a little longer. And like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not an expert on liquid soap making, and I consider someone being an expert if you've made it countless times, like so many times you can't even count, and you've made mistakes, tons of mistakes, because making mistakes means you learn. And I haven't made enough mistakes making it to really feel like I'm an expert, because excuse me, there's a lot that I don't know, because when you're making soap, like you guys know, when you make mistakes, you don't ever make them again because you realize, oh crap, that you don't want to waste your time, your material. It's costly to make mistakes, so you learn real quick. So I haven't made really any mistakes doing liquid soap. So, but from my understanding, if you do your paste and it's not clear, you can cook it longer. And by longer, I don't know, maybe 30 minutes. and then recheck it. But what I would recommend is making a small batch and just formulating your recipe however you want it. Make like a 2-pound batch or 1 pound, whatever. Start out small scale so that if you're not happy with the way it turns out, then you're not out a whole lot. Your time, obviously, but then that goes back to chalking up to experience, because you want to get the experience in there so that you can make some mistakes and learn. So let me show you guys this one more time. I am obsessed about the way this smells. I mean, I just can't. It smells so dang good, and it's unscented. That'd be good right there. All right. There was one other thing I was going to mention. This liquid soap recipe I used, if I can't remember if I told you already, but I used lard, coconut oil, and castor oil. And to me, it's just like so cool that like those oils, especially lard, and it can be saponified into something so clear. So that's just, that's cool to me. But anyway, one more tip about lard. And if you guys use lard in your soap, then you may already know this, but if you don't use lard and have been interested or thought about using lard, I'll give you a little tidbit. Never, ever, ever let it overheat, because it will stink. It will smell like burnt bacon. And I've done it. Like, that's how I know. If you get sidetracked, like melt your oils, walk away, come back, and it smells like burnt bacon is the best way, but worse, kind of like burnt bacon grease. I don't know, like it just stinks. And I think that smell carries over into your soap when you have made it completely and it's been completely saponified. I feel like that smell does carry over. So there's been, I know at least one time, at least once, that I didn't even sell the soap because it's like I feel like I could smell it still. Probably couldn't. And nobody has ever said anything about it. But the one batch that I think I really, it was probably in here for 30 minutes on high, and I forgot about it. And I came in and it was like smoking in here, and I was like, oh, I tried to burn the place down, I guess. But it was like really, it got really hot. And, you know, it's just not good for your oils to get that hot, for one. And then for two, lard, like I said, just smells nasty when it gets overheated. I mean, like really bad. So don't ever let your lard get overheated. But that little tidbit on lard, and then hopefully my few tidbits on liquid soap were helpful to you guys. I know I haven't uploaded a video in a while, but I've been trying to put together the little montages of our soap studio, this soap shop. If you haven't seen those, they're probably listed below, like below this video. They just like quick, like I did like a time-lapse video, because I knew it would be like really boring to video the whole thing, but I personally wanted to document the process. And I know if any of you guys are like me, then it's really cool to watch another small business do what they do. And that's why I make videos, so that I can hopefully be helpful to somebody. Because small businesses, I never realized how much was involved, and just everything. So I just think the process is really cool to watch a storefront be born from nothing, like basically from starting. Actually, I started in my kitchen and went from my kitchen to the soap shed, and then the soap shed to storefront, which I haven't gotten there yet, obviously. But I mean, we bought it, but it's renovating. So we're doing most of the work ourselves, because I got like shocked by the cost of all of the stuff that it needed. Like, it needs a new roof, needs a new HVAC unit. We pulled up the carpet, so it needs new flooring. The walls, I mean, the walls are okay, but like I gotta move like the plumbing and stuff. So like just the roof alone, the first quote I got was like $9,500. And I was like, which may not seem bad for a roof, but see, the issue that I have with that is it's only 700 square feet and it's flat. So it's not like complicated peaks or anything like that. So I was like in sticker shock, because I was thinking it might be like $5,000 for a roof. But when the number came back twice what I thought it was going to be, I was like, oh, we better do some more as much as we can ourselves, because I have a budget that I'm trying to stick to, which is still higher than what I want it to be. Ideally, I would have just bought the building and not had to put anything into it, but that's not really realistic to expect that. And I kind of knew going into it that we were going to have to put money into it. But when you're having to start out the gate with a new air conditioner and new roof, it's kind of doesn't leave you with a lot of budget. So sweat equity is what we call it, and that's what we're putting into the storefront, which is fine. My husband fortunately doesn't mind doing that kind of stuff, and I don't either. I mean, he can do more than I can, and I'm not strong, but I can do what I can. And so we usually do that on the weekends, which is cut in on my like soap making and stuff. So it's hard to balance it all because, I need to be here making stuff, and I need to be at the market, and I have another job, and also trying to renovate the storefront and like do normal stuff like grocery store and laundry and crap like that, and maintain my house so that my house doesn't get taken over by clothes and dishes. So anyway, it's a lot. So I hope that if you guys have watched any of those videos, I hope y'all enjoyed it. And what I'll do probably is when it gets closer to doing more of the cool like inside stuff that's a little more interesting than like demolition, which is what we've been doing so far, then I'll also video that and post it if you guys are interested. But if not, I'll probably honestly post it anyway, just for my own documentation to be able to look back on and see, just because I think it's really cool. It takes a lot of perseverance for us as small businesses to stick with a business through tough times and expensive times and slow business, and just be able to stick with something for a long period of time. There's something to be said for that, and I think small businesses should be more proud of themselves than what they are. I know I myself don't give myself enough credit. Most of the time I just kind of do what I do and don't think anything of it. But really, when you step back and think about it, if you're like me, which most of you probably are similar, if you started with nothing, basically, like it's not like a business in a box, it's not like an MLM, not that there's anything wrong with that, but those businesses are pretty much like, here you go, and which is fine because there's still a lot of hard work that goes into that, and I know that. But when you're doing it yourself, everything is from scratch. I mean, down to your recipes. Like I formulate all my recipes. I'm sure y'all do too. Tweak them and try new ones, which is expensive and it's time consuming. So and then I make my own labels, which I'm sure y'all do too. But I mean, there's a lot that we probably don't give ourselves credit for. So when you're having to order your own supplies, make your own product, package your own product, label your own product, and then stand out there and sell your own product, there's a lot to be said for that. So pat yourself on the back, because it's not easy. So and then like on days like this, I should be out there selling, but if I've got something else that's like a family obligation to do, then that affects our business as well. Because I personally don't have anybody that works for me. I could, and I think it's important to have people help you, but it's tough because for several reasons. I don't know if you guys have people working for you or not, and if you do, I would love to have a conversation about it. Because I mean, even like doing a live with you guys about that, because then we could actually talk instead of me just talking to myself like this. I'm talking to you, but I'm literally just talking to myself. So a conversation about that would be very interesting to me, because if you have someone that works for you, whether it's your child, a neighbor, whatever, I'll be curious on how you go about doing that. Because what I would prefer is I would love to have somebody like measure out all my oils and label my soaps and do my dishes, honestly. And I know you're probably thinking, well, what does that leave? Like, well, it leaves a lot, because, marketing, taking pictures of your product and formulating new recipes, ordering supplies, making the actual product. Those are the things that I would prefer to focus on. I don't want to wash dishes, honestly. Freaking hate it. My sink is full right now of dishes because I don't want to wash them. And I don't mind labeling soap, because what I'll usually do is put my phone on like YouTube and I'll watch some other soaper or small business video, or like I listen to a podcast or something like that on business, and that helps pass the time. But again, I only like doing it because it's mindless, like anybody could do it. So it's not like anybody would have to have special training to do that. But I just need to, I don't know, find the right person to do that, because I feel bad because I don't know that I would have enough work. Like I would probably need, I don't know, maybe 3 hours a week or something like that. But anyway, if you guys have any ideas on that or what you guys do, I would love to hear, because especially with Christmas coming up, it would be really cool to have somebody just come behind me and wash dishes. But the bad thing is I'm not a good like boss, because I'm not, I don't like asking people to do stuff, and that's a problem. Like I just don't like it. I would rather do it myself. And because I did have one girl come over, and she was like a friend of my daughter's that we've known her since she was little, and she was perfect. Like she came over a few times and labeled soaps for me, and like 100% great. But she has another job and didn't have, she couldn't commit to being here that much. And then not only that, but the main thing I really wanted her to do was wash dishes, because I hate it. But I didn't want to ask her to do that. Isn't that weird? Like I was paying her just like minimum wage, but still, I didn't want to ask her to do it because I knew that job sucks, and I don't like to ask people to do stuff that I don't like to do, which is so stupid. I have to get out of my head on that. But, and I think if I said it from the beginning, because I didn't say it from the beginning with her, I was just like, oh, if you come over and do stuff. And then when, I just feel like a jerk. Oh, here's my whole pile of dishes in the sink. I need you to wash those. Anyway, so if I just say it from the beginning maybe and said, hey, washing dishes behind me and labeling soap or whatever, I'm sure that would be fun. I'm rambling at this point, so I'll let you guys go, and I hope you'll have a glorious day. And maybe I'll be at the market next Thursday, hopefully, to sell my stuff, make a little money, to pay for some renovations on my storefront. Because that's what I feel like I'm going to be doing for the next like 5 years. Is every penny that I make is probably going to go back into that. So that's kind of like, oh, that's tough, because from this point, I mean, I had to buy the shed, but it was like obviously I have just a couple $1,000s in this shed, maybe like $6,000 in the shed, which is still a lot of money, but that's like, you can swallow that. But having to do a whole storefront, like when you're paying utilities and all that stuff, I'm like, I'm paranoid. Like I feel a little overwhelmed, because I'm scared that it won't succeed. And then, but whatever, you don't know until you take a chance. But I feel like it will. I just feel like it's a lot. It's a lot to take on, especially when we're doing the renovations, because everything is just a lot of money. And then when days like this come up and I can't make money. So anyway, I'm going now. You guys have a good day, and I'll post another video hopefully in the next couple of days. But and I hope I didn't ramble too much. I'll see you guys.